Hello everybody, Big Bad Birna here, and today I thought I'd bring you a bit of a sniping video. But the topic of this video isn't going to be sniping per se. Instead, I want to talk about mouse sensitivity, because it's kind of a heated topic in some ways, and there's some kind of prevailing opinions that I think kind of need to be talked about a little bit more, because sometimes I don't think they're really the best way to look at the issue. So, mouse sensitivity. Well, the first thing I guess it's worth spelling is that your in-game sensitivity, so whatever you set it to, like inside TF2, isn't the full story. I mean, you may have a mouse sensitivity of 3, and I may have a mouse sensitivity of 1.5, but my sensitivity might actually be faster than yours, depending on the DPI of my mouse and my Windows settings. That being said, it's a really frequent question when watching good players is, well, what's their mouse sensitivity? How far do they have to move their mouse to do a 360? And a lot of times when anyone asks this, there's kind of two types of people. There's some people who seem obsessed with mouse sensitivity and will always ask, what sensitivity is this player using? And there's another type of person who will pretty much always say, hey, mouse sensitivity doesn't matter, it's all practice. Don't use what some pro player uses, just figure out what you like and then stick with that, and never change it. And that's a common piece of advice I hear. Never change your mouse sensitivity. Some of you might be aware, I'm a bit of a silly person when it comes to mouse sensitivity, and I change my sensitivity a lot. And in my opinion, I change it too much. But that doesn't mean you should never change your mouse sensitivity. And so what I wanted to talk a little bit about is, well, when should you change your mouse sensitivity, and how should you decide upon the sensitivity that you want to use forever? Well, the first thing I'd want to point out is that mouse sensitivity can really change the way you play. If your mouse sensitivity is really low, so it takes you a really far, really big movements on your mouse pad just to turn around, that will influence how you position yourself. If you know that it's going to take you a big, huge swipe to turn around, you're most likely going to set yourself up and play in such a way that you don't have to turn your, you don't have to quickly do a 180 or 360 that often. So on the other side of the coin, if your mouse sensitivity is really fast, you might get yourself into situations where you do that a whole lot more. You may also, though, have trouble tracking targets at a distance. So when I'm sniping, for example, yeah, I might be able to hit those shots right up close like I just did if I've got a bit of a higher sensitivity. But maybe I'll have trouble hitting that far away demo man. Now in this case it was a pretty easy shot because he was barely moving. But the way you set up your mouse sensitivity will influence how easy or hard it is to hit certain shots. Having a high sensitivity is usually fine if you're attacking people right up close, but when you really want that precision from long range, a lower sensitivity can really help. And that's why I tend to use a pretty low sensitivity when I'm sniping. So, how do you know, though, what your perfect sensitivity is? A lot of people say, oh yeah, just stick with one sensitivity and never change it. But what that kind of assumes is that you've already arrived at the best mouse sensitivity for you. And if you haven't, well, how do you figure that out? I think the trickiest thing when you're starting to try to figure this out is that, you may set a mouse sensitivity, you may change it, and then you'll find that you can't hit anything. There's a bit of an adjustment period between when you change your sensitivity and when you get used to that change. So if you're used to a really high sensitivity, and then you lower your sensitivity, you probably won't be able to hit anything. You'll be struggling to move your mouse, and you feel like it takes you, way too big of a mouse movement to even turn around. Does that mean you should just change right back to the higher sensitivity and keep it at that forever? Well, I mean, not necessarily. as a bit of a story, I used to play with a crazily high mouse sensitivity. Not in TF2, but in past games. For some reason, I was under the apprehension that, you know, the higher the mouse sensitivity, the better, and the quicker you can turn, the better. And I got really used to that, so if I lowered my sensitivity, I could not aim at all. But that doesn't mean that that higher sensitivity was the best sensitivity for me. It just means that's what I was getting to get used to. I was probably okay at shooter games at that time, like FPSs and whatnot. But when I actually lowered my mouse sensitivity and got used to it, I became a much better aimer than I ever was with the high sensitivity. Now, some of you might know, for example, that there are some really good high sensitivity players out there, so I don't want to suggest that low sensitivity is the best for everyone. What I do want to suggest, though, is that for a good portion of people, they're probably using a sensitivity that's too high if they're trying to do precision aim. So things like sniping. Just because you're used to something like a 3-inch 360 or something, doesn't necessarily mean it's optimal. And it might be worth getting worse in the short run when changing your sensitivity so that you can get better in the long run. Now in these particular clips, this is actually my first full day after increasing my sensitivity on Sniper a little bit. So it may seem kind of funny that I was telling you about how lowering your sensitivity might actually help you out when I've just admitted that I raised my sensitivity. But my starting point, my old sensitivity was really, really low with Sniper. And so what I was realizing was I was taking a whole bunch of shots, and I would get body shots, but I wasn't comfortable moving my mouse quite as far as I needed to in order to get that headshot. So, even though I was used to the sensitivity that I had been using, you know, I wasn't getting as many headshots as I would like, and I also had a lot of trouble hitting quick-moving targets like scouts, even when they're at medium range. So I decided, you know what, it's going to be worth my while to increase my sensitivity a little bit and just get used to that. My sensitivity is still pretty low by pretty much everyone's standards, but as you can see, I actually can hit certain targets that I probably wouldn't have been able to hit before, and I can still aim at long range. So I think in the long run this is actually going to work out for me a little bit better. So I guess the take-home message here is that I don't want you guys to just subscribe to the thought, hey, find one sensitivity and just stick with it. What I want you to do is play around a little bit, try a couple things out, and give yourself enough time to get used to it. Once you've done that, figure out if you're still missing a whole bunch of shots, why are you missing? Is it because you're always over-aiming and you feel like you don't really have that precision to move your mouse that tiny bit to get the headshot? Or is it the opposite? Are you finding you just really can't move your mouse enough to get that headshot? And you're always, you know, a little sluggish. In that case, you may actually want to raise your sensitivity a little bit. So I hope this was kind of enlightening for you. These are just some clips I got this morning, playing Sniper with this new sensitivity. You know, hopefully they're slightly entertaining for you. As you can see, I'm still not perfectly used to stuff, and I'm missing some shots I probably shouldn't. For example, I cannot hit this medic to save my life. That being said, I'm still getting some pretty high kill streaks here, and I think this one ends up as something like maybe like a 21 or 23 kill streak or something. For some reason that demo was saying this stuff. Anyway, if you guys would like to comment and give me roughly your inches per 360, if you use the same sensitivity for every class, you can just tell me that, or you can tell me if you'd like what your Sniper sensitivity is set at. I think it'd be kind of interesting, just for myself, to know where everybody else is at, just to know where I stand relative to you guys. Anyway, I'll just let the rest of this clip play out, and until next time, guys, keep it creamy.
accident. There goes the car.